Divide and conquer. That's what they're trying to do. I didn't see this thing finishing over 34. The thing that's like fucking with me the most is so many people making videos about we have to finish at 34. No. We needed to hit 34 and motherfuckers needed to start exercising contracts. Which maybe they did. Maybe they were trying to, or maybe they accomplished doing that, and then there was 14 million fucking shares borrowed today. 14 million that, fucked this thing up a little bit. Like, there was a lot of buying pressure going on in here. A lot. Who knows? I mean, you can find the 14 million that was borrowed in here today. So that 14 million fucked this up a lot. This shit should have been at like $39, $40. I'm like, it should have been way higher today. That's where your Vanguard friends and BlackRocks come into play, where they're fucking lending out shares, making money on that interest, all that shit. But overall, the movement, price action, the fact that they needed to borrow, they actually had to borrow 14 million shares to fuck this thing up, lets me know they're exhausting the other avenues, like just using ETFs and shit. I can't remember the last time that many shares were reported borrowed to fuck with this thing, except June, I think, like early June. Short interest is going back up again, but again, doesn't mean shit to me because we had the short interest go up to like 20 in July and it fucking tanked. It died. It didn't do shit. So that number doesn't really bother me as much, but the shares held short going up to like over 110, that's a change. That's something that has changed. The shit ain't sitting, between like 98 and 102 shares held short. Like it has for just months. Just been sitting there pretty much, it seems like. Like I said, the environment seems like it's taking a turn. It's seemingly less controlled. Like, I'm of a firm belief that the government's been involved in this shit since January. Their eye has been on this, and they have been trying to figure out a way. Like they were doing it with GameStop first, and then all of a sudden, AMC comes along and wants to get in on it. Then they had to shut shit down. Like they had to. This alone, this scenario, the way it was prior to June 2nd setting up, and then June 2nd happening, with what was already going on in GameStop and what's going on with AMC now, these two things would have collapsed the market. They would have fucking collapsed it. 100% collapsed it. It would have been a race to get in on this. Liquidations would have been everywhere from people pulling money out of everything they had to put it in here to try to catch a piece of this. This wasn't going to be no day thing. There wasn't going to be no shit to where it was one day goes up and then it's done. Like, this was anticipated to be several days in the making. Like, several days it was probably going to last. I mean, going up and just, the downward movement was going to be like a little stair-stepping action. So that's all I've really been waiting for, to see constriction in the options chain, which is there. To see opportunities to make money in the options chain, which is there. It was not there before because there wasn't enough open interest in the very close at the money, but slightly out of the money calls. Everybody was way at the ass end of the OTM line with 145s and 120s and shit like that. But I've watched a lot of this shit has gotten nixed down to 80 is where it maxes out now, and 65 on some, where it was 120 and 100 or 145. That is a very, very good fucking sign. It's a very good sign. That is much needed, much wanted, and I'm very happy to see it. It's a good thing. I want to see what happens in this after hours. It just does. It seems like things are turning. Like they are turning. I'm not saying go fucking FOMO shit or anything yet because I'm still waiting for the end of August with some of the regulations that are going to be taking effect and being able to be enacted. And already this is what I wanted to see. So heading towards that direction and the dates I'm expecting and anticipating certain things to hit the register and be able to be enforced, it almost kind of looks like people that were doing bullshit or whatever are stepping out of the way of that now and trying to get their shit right before this goes down. Um, yeah, you are way off your rocker if you do not believe that the government is involved in this. You're insane. You're crazy. This is the lifeblood of the United States economy. The fucking lifeblood of it. And you don't think that the government saw what was happening and then fucking AMC snuck up out of nowhere too while they were trying to fucking handle GME and figure out what they were going to do. And then they just had to put everything in a fucking chokehold. Everything had to go in a chokehold by any means necessary. It's the only explanation. When you're seeing the things you're seeing blatant manipulation like this, and you're like, why isn't anyone doing anything? They are. They're putting all the shit in place so that if this thing is allowed to go, which I mean, with everything I'm seeing heading towards the end of August, it looks like the original theory is correct. The June 2nd, way too much attention. Government stepped in, said this is going to fuck everything up. What can we do to stall this shit, to calm this shit down, get some shit in play, get you motherfuckers who fucked up an avenue to return some of this shit because you're going to fucking blow the entire economy up. You know, whatever. It's just lining up with things like that. It was always in my mind that this was, as Lou said too, going to be managed once that shit happened. Because it would collapse the stock market. The economy is already very fragile. Everything with COVID. It's just, this would have fucked everything up. It would have. Yeah, I mean, everyone invested in it and everything. They'd be good. They'd be alright. But this would have collapsed the entire stock market. Oh, no, it wouldn't have. No, yes, it would have. It would have collapsed the entire stock market. Everybody with stock anywhere would have liquidated their assets to put it into this and GME, whatever. Would have just been, it would have been proof that this was 100% a real thing. People weren't crazy. And that would have been a sign that there's a lot of people out there with their eyes on this that are not invested in it because they're like, yeah, you know, whatever. Okay, it did something cool. But if that bitch would have hit 70 and then got halted and then once it resumed, jumped into the fucking hundreds, oh, that would have been a wrap. That would have been a fucking wrap. You would have watched the stock market collapse. Everybody, including big institutions and bigger hedge funds and all that shit, would have been pouring into this fucking thing. So now they're getting all their automated systems and everything put into play, getting it all set up so that the robots can handle the scenario properly, you know, without a bunch of crazy horse shit going on. It's looking to be more likely that that is the scenario, just kind of with the way things are going now. That shit wasn't going to be overnight. They weren't going to implement it overnight. These are literally, a lot of this shit is regulations from back in fucking April. Some of it is from 2008, 2009. Some of it's from 2015. Shit that they just left on the back burner because they didn't think there was going to be another scenario like this. They really didn't. They were like, oh, we're never going to let it get that bad again. It's never going to get to that point again where it can happen. Like, stop it. You're going to fuck everything up. We don't feel like going through all that. What we have in place works now. You know, we're the ones that run the stock market. No one else is in this shit. So what are you worried about? And then here we are, you know, 2019, 2020. A lot of people really started engaging in the stock market. People with a smartphone can now trade on Wall Street. Shit changed. We'll see. Just keeping my eyes on this. very, very closely. But like I said, everything looks like it's heading in the proper direction. It is by no means there yet. No means there yet at all. But that 14 million was borrowed intentionally to keep this from flying into 35. It wasn't even necessarily 34. If they didn't want this hitting 34, it would have never hit 34. They would have kept it fucking like 33.75 would have been like a smashing point. But 35 was where they did not want this thing hitting and then causing a 34, 35 squeeze into those other little contracts up there. That was the goal, not 34. So we're just going to keep watching it, see what happens. Hopefully this keeps trending this way. Hopefully next week the AMC becomes a little more lively than what it was this week. Start seeing some of this movement. If I start seeing more shares like that being borrowed, then, I know we're definitely back on track with shit. Because that was an insane amount of shares that got borrowed. Insane amount. Like, they have to be exhausting their ETF shorting strategy. They have to be. Especially now that people know. Like, it's known that they're doing it. So, hopefully, people spreading the word and people talking about shit like this that's what you have to do. You have to expose it. You have to. If you want something done about it, you have to expose it. When people know that people know and people are seeing that they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing, they stop doing it. You ever catch a little kid doing something they're not supposed to do? Motherfucker break their ankles or their neck trying to fucking stand up straight and be like, I wasn't doing nothing. Yeah. So I do find it very interesting. I am definitely in no way, shape, or form saying that it's me and me catching that and like advertising it is why they're not doing it. I knew it had to, at some point it would have to stop. But either way, I know it made it out into the Reddit and Twitterverse, which I didn't put it out there, but other people did. And I know that all that shit is heavily monitored. I know that my channel, I know that it's monitored. You know it is. Because I be doing other shit besides this. So I just think it's crazy. I do. Now ETFs are losing their AMC and BlackRock is gaining more AMC. Well, getting their AMC returned that they lent out. That 14 million shares is sticking with me hard, though. Like, that's unnecessary. You haven't needed to do that for months because you've been able to short ETFs and shit. Now you have to go back to actually borrowing shares to that magnitude. That's big. That is a big thing. That is a big thing. So, eyes and ears open. Let's see what happens after the after hours shuts down.